Alright, let's do this. It's me, Coffee and Carnifexes, episode 6. I'm a little behind. In fact, really behind. You know, the birds are going to be really confused by the time of day. I shut some of the lights down so I could do better recording lighting. We'll do a little talking head video here. So hopefully they cooperate a little bit. It's hard to find a good recording time with them. But I was going to do a couple different video ideas I had the last couple weeks when I was working crazy hours. I changed the day with the data slates, or the data sheet update dropping, the new detachment dropping, new revenue rules dropping, points adjustments. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. It's kind of big. It's kind of awesome. Um, let's say hobby-wise too, the only thing that's happened recently is I got a new Carnifex, the acid sprayer configuration. I have for the next 6 Saturdays off because I'm preparing for like a smaller GT. I'm trying to hit like 3 other tournaments beforehand. And then also get some pickup games on Sundays. Maybe on some of my days off here. We'll see what happens here in the next month and a half-ish here. And also, I got the right add-ons for, was it Tabletop Simulator? So I can play 40K on Tabletop Simulator. So I got a couple games in with a good buddy of mine on that, just to get more experience throwing things down. And I got a huge cup of coffee for this, so you can a little ship in here. Jinx is going to look really confused for a minute here behind me. But we're going to start with the Raveners. This is the one I've been waiting for a while. I was curious what they would do with the Kill Team Raveners. My understanding is typically the Kill Teams can be like built like a generic unit, the Kill Team unit, and then also like sometimes a special unit for 40k. It's honestly kind of an ingenious way to update some units here and there without doing like a whole faction release. It's kind of cool. I mean, I'm not sure how it's received by everyone, but it's not a terrible way for them to do it, to be honest here. So the regular Ravener hasn't changed too much. You're restricted to 5 models though now. 3 or 6. Sucks if you have just 3 of the old ones, but they're essentially the same point cost. It was 75 for 3 before and 150 for 6. It's 125 for 5 now. So it's still 25 points a model or whatever, so still a good spot. Stat line's essentially the same for like the base stat line. Essentially, though, you don't have the option of a gun anymore. You always have the armor bonus, which is fine. The biggest glaring change on the stat line, though, is the melee attacks. You're going from 7 attacks to 3. But you're gaining an AP, so we're AP minus 2 now, and 2 damage, which, I mean, that's... When I looked at this at first, I mean, you're still twin linked and everything. We still have uppy downy. We're essentially the same point cost, so I was like, well, does this really gravely affect anything? Also, we gain the burrower thing, which will be important later. But like, is this going to really affect their overall damage output? So we'll know that in a minute here. They have no warrior options. Let's get to the new guys, the hyper adapted Raveners. They essentially run the same stat line except for one of the unit is a prime. There's a little bit better leadership and double the attacks of the other guys. One of them in the unit gets the Venom Bolt. It's gonna be a nice assault, indoors cover, torrent weapon with a 12-inch range, d6 plus 3, strength 6, minus 1 AP, 1 damage. It's an okay little flamer weapon. Put in some extra wounds before you hit. They're also 165 points for the unit of 5, so a bit of a price hike. The Prime has Synapse on him, though, which is kind of a big deal. They also have sustained hits all the time here. Once equipped with models in the unit have sustained hits 1. And they also, once per battle round, you can target this unit with Rapid Ingress or Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP. You can do so even if you've already targeted a different unit on that stratagem this turn. I missed the once per battle round thing. Oh my god. So they can Rapid Ingress in like turn 1, and then in turn 2 they can Heroic Intervention for free as well. Or, well, in certain detachments they can do the turn 1 Rapid Ingress. But yeah, for example, that's better than I realized when I read it earlier. Because then if you have them and your Von Ryan Leapers, it kind of deters people a little bit from charging you, because they're kind of a nasty hit back. These Raveners, though, basically the same stat line as the regular ones. That's going to be the Strength 5 with minus 2 AP, 2 damage. They have Anti-Monster 5, Anti-Vehicle 5, and Twin Linked. And the Prime gets double the attacks. But the Prime is also Synapse. So then the Prime actually adds 1 to their Strength because he's Synapse. So they're Strength 6 in melee. a nice little bump. I know it is kind of a big chunk of points, as some people complaining about the point cost already. Um, I'm honestly really curious how they're going to perform. I feel like they're going to be like, because they can't up be downy. That's the only downside to these guys, in my opinion. Yeah, they're a little pricey, but I think their damage output and their versatility is going to be, and their speed and everything is just going to just make up for it. I don't think there's something you want in the game turn one or turn two. I think you want them in like turn three. You want them in last minute. I think you want them to come in and help in the mid game. Oh shit! Just threw my phone and lost it. Oh well. We're leaving that in the video. It's gonna be funny later for me. But yeah, I think you want them to come in mid game, more or less. So you don't want them out when all the big heavy hitters are out there. You want them to come in and clean up, stop primaries, maybe take the backfield, wherever there's a good opening for them. You want them to kind of be like your little versatile unit that they're going to hit pretty hard when they come in. And them just showing up at the right place, the right time, is going to be clutch, honestly. They don't get a flat, deep strike within 6 inches though, but they're pretty good. And the weapon or the range attack being assault, so they can advance as well. From a Vanguard onslaught, they can advance and charge. They're so good at that. They're so good in every detachment. To be honest, like they have like a decent role just for like I said, I feel like they're that mid game. We're gonna take the enemy backfield while everything's weakened here. Or they're like your counter unit for your own backfield. Like if you need help somewhere in your turn three and you're like, oh fuck, like I'm losing my backfield to my opponent, like I need something to come in, and you can bring up those raptors in. So good versatility, they're not getting like strength 6, they're gonna wound most monsters and vehicles on a 5 anyways. But I guess like for the toughest of things out there, they're still gonna wound on a 5 or a 6. Or yeah, on a 5 or 6 regardless, so that's fantastic. Maybe if the Prime gets sniped because he has character. So that could affect it, but yeah, that's pretty sweet. I did a little unit crunch. I threw up their attacks. It may be kind of hard to see. Let me. Sorry, my light's in the way of my options here. It's probably a little much there. But anyways, oh, it's still a little small to be honest here. I will zoom it in more. We'll do like the old man zoom. Wait, but I can't side scroll it. Can I? No, I can't. Or does it make it? Oh, there we go. I know what I'm doing. So I did the comparison of the old Ravener unit with a full unit of 6 for the 150 points. And then we did the new Ravener unit and then the hyper adapted Ravener unit. And this is with okay, no reroll, hit one, which we'll get to, which is actually the burrower or the subterranean assaults special rule. Or critical hits like for sustain. I played around with that earlier just to kind of see for my own sake here. But they all have twin linked. And then the hyper adapted ones have sustained. And overall, the old Raveners and the new Raveners this is against the Space Marine equivalent for preference or for reference here. They do about the same damage. And I was kind of curious if it would work out that way, if the math would work out like that. And I feel like they kind of did that, even though like throwing a bucket of dice at things is a lot of fun for us as a player. It does slow the game down a bit. So you're throwing a lot less dice, pulling a lot less, re-rolling a lot less. It does speed up the game a little bit, and maybe that's why they did it. I'm not sure. Because otherwise the damage is relatively similar. And the only thing I can say is like the old Ravener unit with 42 attacks, like in something like Invasion Fleet with Sustained 1, it's going to be way swingier than just like the 15 attacks. Wait, new Raveners. Yeah, okay, it's 15. I'm like, why should I be 18? No. But that 42 attacks gives you a lot more chance to roll 6s. And this can show you the extremes, but this is like the average, So if you were to throw in like those, because I've played with it too, with just the sustain, they average out about the same. I think the older Ravener unit comes out like a 1 damage higher on average versus new Raveners, but there's a swinginess of dice. If you roll a ton of 6s in one go, it's gonna be absolutely devastating to your opponent. Even with like the lethal hit thing too, like it works out a little differently, but that's more like so in gameplay than like when you math hammered out. Hyper adapted in general do really freaking decent damage. So, I don't know, I feel like the fact they can almost deal 20 damage to a Space Marine unit, they can essentially almost take out a 20-man Space Marine unit by themselves. It's pretty good on average there. Plus, you include their gun, they're probably going to do it. The older Revenant unit did have the option for a gun, but like statistically, that's only going to really add like another wound or two against Space Marines. Like it's only going to be like a damage or two, and then so it's like it's not going to make much of a difference versus like the new Raveners. I think the place where it's going to really change is where you go against like a big mob of like Imperial Guard or Orcs. Those 42 attacks are going to be with one damage are going to be way better against those huge mobs of one damage units than the new Raveners are. But Tyranids do have like a plethora of like anti-mass infantry options out there, so this makes them hit like medium to heavy stuff a little bit better, I feel like, in my opinion. I mean, or it's maybe about the same because how the math works out. We'll see here in the end. Some big other army change or army rule change for Tyranids. One, I'm gonna point out, it's not a new change this week. I completely forgot, I might have read it at one point, that anything within 6 inches of Snap's unit subtracts 1 from its Shadow of the Warp Battle Shock test. So that also would stack with your Narrow Tyrant. That's really good. I remember that as a thing that we have for our army. I was like, God, missed that. Okay. But one of the major changes for us right now, the Will of the High Mind on your Tyrant. Once per battle round now, instead of once per turn, one model from your army with this ability can use it on a friendly unit and reduce its CP by 1. It's no longer going to be my turn and their turn. It's once per battle round. It's a little bit of a nerf. It's still really good. They did lower the high turns points to reflect it. We'll get to that in a moment here. The other big change for us is the Psychophage changed quite a bit. I'm playing around if I use Psychophages now, or at least one, potentially two. I have 3 of them, but I'm not going to probably use 3. But their move characteristic changed from 8 to 12. Like, what? Why are they so fast now? And the Biostimulus ability, instead of it being an aura that gives a 6-inch feel no pain, or 6 up feel no pain, and 6 inches or whatever, Biostimulus now, in your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Tyranid unit makes a melee attack that targets that enemy unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. The same enemy unit can only be affected by this ability once per turn. They also get the keyword smoke, so now you can spend a CP to pop smoke with them. But now their melee attacks are no longer d6 plus 1. They are straight 6 attacks, so it's the high end. Like you roll a 5 every freaking turn for it. And they increase its AP from -1 to -2. It's a little bit higher point cost now to reflect this. Don't get me wrong though. That 6 plus feel no pain, it's kind of meh. Let's be real. Like 5 up's pretty good because it's like a third. Well, 1/6, and 12 wounds, 12 damage, you're gonna save 2 of them on average. Like that's okay. It's not great. Plus, it moves 12 inches. You can put it where you want it. You could have it like in Crusher Stampede, run out in front of everything, take the hits. Yeah, it's only like looks like the stat line. This is the old one here. Um, it's tough to sign with a 3-up save with 10 wounds, and it did have 8-inch movement prior. It's got a 12. Its torrent weapon is 12 inches, and now gives you increases your AP to the units in melee against that unit that got hit by the torrent weapon. Like it's melee. What does it still? Wait, does it still have devastating? Um, yeah, so anti-psychic devastating wounds. So you run it up like 12 inches, maybe advance it if it can't shoot anything, but it's got a 12-inch threat or 24-inch threat range with its freaking torrent weapon. So you're probably going to put that +1 to AP in melee wherever you want it, especially if you have 2 of them. They bump up to 110 points, which we'll get to in a moment, so they want 15 points for that. But you can also move them forward, put them in threat's way, pop smoke, give them stealth, and then also give them cover. So anything shooting at them like turn 1 when they're out on the open is at -1 to hit, and you have a 2+ save with their 5 up feel no pain that they have themselves. Like, did they make Psychophages really good all of a sudden? I'm not really sure. feel like they have more potential than they did before, and they're going to be really, really good in Assimilation Swarm now. They were already good in Assimilation Swarm, so now like can they help heal things in that detachment? But now they can give you like extra like AP where you need it. They're really kind of stacking on that. Like Tyranids are really good at removing like 1 or 2 units like every turn. All right, sorry, hard cut there. The dog's a little time to bark and get out of their system here. I get roommates with animals too. It's a little hard to get those quiet times here. But yeah, I think Arvel the Psychophage is kind of a good unit to try out and play around with and see what you can do with it now. It's got quite a bit of potential. I mean, maybe it's gonna be trash, but I feel like it's got a good chance here to be really useful in a couple lists here, or like one, and more so like one might be really good. To kind of go with your exocrine, and you just kind of like stack it all. You make sure you obliterate this one big unit. But let's get to the point changes. My favorite part of this is all the Hive Tyrants went down. Walking Hive Tyrant, Flying Hive Tyrant, down 30 points. Oops, sorry, I'm blocking some of it. Stormlord's down 20 points. Psychophage is up 10, or 15, I mean, up to 110. Hive Guard are down 10 points for 3, 20 points for 6. I feel like they have potential, like on Hive Guard. I have the thing up, we'll talk about them in a minute. Screaming Killer got 10 points cheaper as well, which is better. I think he should still be a bit cheaper. For example, if you compare Screamer Killer to Hospex. Hospex is 125. Screamer Killer has become 135. You have Toughness 9 or Toughness 11. Hospex is only a 3+ save, 14 wounds though. They're both 8-inch movement. Screamer Killer's got the slightly better save, but Hospex got the better toughness. They both have an okay attack profile. The precision thing, you might randomly snipe out a character here and there. The Bioplasma is a nice assault. Ability to take an advance with it and shoot it still. If only it had advance and charge, it'd be absolutely amazing. They both, I feel like, in the end, have a pretty similar damage output in close combat. I haven't thrown a Mouth Hammer. But it's either you're throwing up a Thora strength 14, or 14 strength 7 attacks that do 2 damage each, and then a couple strength 14 at -2 that do d6 +1 damage, or you just throw out 10 -2 3 damage abilities. This guy does have the downside of he gets bracketed. This has his Grizzly ability, which is okay. Same with each have a weird Battle Shock ability. I feel like the Screamer Killer should be points more in line with the Hospex. That's my opinion. They're both kind of fun to use though if they make it to close combat. They're not the greatest thing. They're both really cool models. I really love the Hospex model. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably one of my favorites of the Tyranids right now. Especially when they're putting it together. I haven't painted mine yet. But it's fun, and if it does make it to melee, it's really solid. This guy's got like a little bit smaller profile to him with his base and everything, so he's potentially a little bit easier to move around too, but with the Screamer Killer, I feel like his point should be more in line with the Hospex, maybe even slightly cheaper, but then you look at the Psychophage is 110, and it's like, okay, what's the right balance for like these dedicated close combat bugs? To make them like a little bit more viable, and not just niche. Although the new attachment might have a way to do that, I guess, but we'll get to that here. But yeah, Hive Guard went down in points. This is their profile currently. Back in the day when they first came out, they were like our anti-transport bug. They were indirect fire, they were heavy weapons. They had on 3s and 4s back then. They could fire with, they didn't line of sight the fire, and they were strength 8. With like a decent AP to them. So they were what we used the pop vehicles back in like 5th and 6th edition when they rolled out. They were pretty fantastic then. And later they gained the shot cannon. I was not playing when they gained the shot cannon. But now I was looking at them the other day before they made the points reduction. I'm like, the toughest 7 is nice, a 3+ save, 4 wounds. The defensive stance thing where they're really good at overwatching, especially when they're on objective. It really makes it seem like they intend for them to be like your objective babysitter. And they could do that really well. I just feel like we have so many other options that it's kind of tough to squeeze in like, unit 3 of them is not too bad. I mean, it's only 90 points. But if you do the Impaler Cannon, it's strength 5, -1, 1 damage. It's really similar to the Barb Goth, though. The barb rounds are a bit cheaper and have a similar function. You can also slow things down. So I guess that's where, like, in their blast. So I'm like, are the barb rounds just like the cheaper version of the hive guard? They're a little bit, they're not quite as tough, but I don't know. Maybe if you have them, they might be worth trying out. If you can squeeze them in, like, if you have not any points to spare, and you're like, hey, I got someone besides the Biovore to hold my home objective, or I can move them up and they can hold one of the flanks and just sit there and fire from the flank the entire game with that 36-inch range, or let me use the ones and hope they have a good firing lane, and then I use the shot cannon with them instead, and then they take an objective and they sit there and they can just pick off vehicles from the flank as well. It could be, I mean, if it's only minus 1 AP, again with the Psychophage, we get minus 2. And 3 damage, which is pretty decent, but we have a lot of other creatures that give us a little bit better AP and similar damage in the army. Especially if you were to roll a unit 6 of these, an Exocrine's probably a better option. A lot of cases, but maybe not all cases. But like I said, if you have them, maybe they're worth trying out again. Give them a shot. I don't really see people use them in lists too often. I've seen Hive Guard go in the lists here and there, but I haven't seen, or I mean Tyrant Guard, but I haven't really seen people use Hive Guard here. So back in the day, they were fantastic. I remember they were metal when they first came out. They were an instant purchase because transport spam was, you know, basically what absolutely decimated Tyranids back in the day. So let's get to our new detachment though. We got so much stuff today for Tyranids. Subterranean Assault. Attachment rule. Each time a Tyranid model from your army makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. That's for shooting and melee. That itself is pretty decent. Probably not the most amazing thing, but we have a lot of things that hit on threes and twos. So that's pretty solid, right? Each time a burrower unit from your army is set up in the battlefield from reserves, place a circular 40mm tunnel marker anywhere on the battlefield within 1 inch of that unit and more than 3 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, when you set up a unit on the battlefield from reserves, you can set that unit wholly within 9 inches of one or more tunnel markers and more than 6 inches horizontally away from the enemy units. If an enemy model, excluding aircraft, ends any kind of movement within 3 inches of one of your tunnel markers, those tunnel markers are removed from the battlefield. Monarch and Trigon get the burrow keyword, and in the Muster Your Army step, you can select 2 Trigon models from your army. The selected units gain the character keyword. Remember this, it means the selected models can be given enhancements, and one of them can be selected as your Warlord. Which is cool. You can literally make a Trigon Prime, which you can see on the side here a little bit. My camera's in the way here. But just that base, those tunnel markers that you can place, those are solid. Sorry, let me zoom in this a little bit more here to get a little bit more clear in the video here. Like, the ruling ones is pretty decent already, right? The movement things that you can do with this potentially are so silly. Because it doesn't say that the units have to deep strike in, the brewing units. They could walk in, too. And then you set one of those markers within 1 inch of them. So they walk in the full 6, you put it 1 inch over. And another unit can come in from reserves right after you place it, fully within 9 of that objective marker, so you can actually shift a unit further on the flank. You can deep strike that unit in, place that marker down, and then suddenly now you can essentially deep strike anything in the Tyranid army. Like, this has so much potential. Like, we're already pretty fast for an army that has no vehicles. And now we have insane mobility potential because of this. And you have things like Raveners, like an Uppy Downy, like the regular Raveners. Every time they Uppy Downy, they come back in, and they can place another one of these tunnels. It's kind of silly. For enhancements, we have Synthetic Strategy. Once per battle, you can target the bear's unit with Rapid Ingress stratagem for 0 CP. It can do even so if you already targeted a different unit with that stratagem this phase. And I could be wrong about this. Well, you can Rapid Ingress a lot of things in the same turn as Tyranids now. And you have more freedom in where you place them because of the burrow tunnels. Like, it's kind of silly. Like, the tunnel markers add so much to this because you could Rapid Ingress, like, there's a thing that can make it so you can Rapid Ingress. Or wait, let me just clear my thoughts here. You can pay 1 CP to rapid ingress in, like a Trigon, for instance, and drop a burrow marker next to him, or tunnel marker. Then you can go to your hyper adapted Raveners that can rapid ingress for free, even if it's already been used. Wait, is that already been used? I could be wrong about that. Yeah, the Skimmer Killer side. You can do so even if you already target a different unit with this stratagem this turn. Okay, Lictors have the same ability. And then you can put give a character this. You can essentially deep strike a Tyrant in with your Trigon and a unit of Raveners. All in the same fucking turn. Like, all in your opponent's movement phase. That's ridiculous. Like, there's some shenanigans you can pull with this detachment, and it definitely, I think, requires a more skilled player. But there's some potential here. There's some crazy potential. Like, I don't think I'm still learning Tyranids. Like, this is not in my realm at the moment, but I want to play with it eventually here. You get Tremor Sense. Tyranid models only. After both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 friendly Tyranid units from your army and redeploy them. So you can set those units in strategic reserve, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. So having that, even I think it's an invasion fleet as well. Maybe it's Vanguard. We have a couple options for that in different detachments. But like, it's insane. Like, because you can have like your max like 500 points, whatever is in reserves. Put in the 3 units at the start of game in reserves. There's a way to get things in Deep in like turn 1 with his army. But by turn 2, you can have just a crazy amount of your units coming in during your opponent's movement phase and during the end of your own movement phase, and just like reshape the battlefield on your opponent. That's really cool. Vanguard Intellect, 2 models with the Deep Strike ability. Only the Bears unit can be set up using the Deep Strike ability in a fourth step of your first, second, or third movement phase, regardless of any mission rules. So you can Deep Strike in like a Trigon turn 1. Make a tunnel, do your thing. They also give us the idea for a Trigon Prime model only. For Trigon model only, the bearer gains the Synapse keyword, improve the strength and weapon skill of the character in the model by 1. And that costs 20 points. Most of these are, I think Vanguard Intellect was like 15 points. I think the Tremor Sense one was 15. I think the Synaptic Strategy might have been 20. They were all between like 10 and 20 though. They don't have them listed on this for some reason, but they're on the app. So this makes the Trigon 20 points more, so it makes it 160. But it makes the Trigon hit on 2s. It makes it, and you increase strength by 1, so it becomes strength 10. There's also a Synapse creature, so it becomes strength 11 in the end. So that's going to be good in niche cases against like other big things. A lot of monsters. I've noticed are like toughness 10, toughness 11. He's going to get something toughness 12. During the detachment, he hits on 2s. Reroll 1, so you roll all his misses. With 12 strength 11 attacks at minus 2-3 damage, like, he's not the most survivable, which there is a way to make him a little bit more. This attachment does make him slightly more survivable potentially. But he hits so hard. It is definitely like one of our glass cannon monsters. A great distraction, deep striking in your enemy's backfield too. I use my Ultra Icon for that now. So, let me see here. For the stratagems, we have adaptive optimization. It's your command phase, 1 Moloch or Trigon unit from your army until the start of your next command phase. The unit has Synapse keyword. So if you need to give something extra strength, make sure they pass their battle shock test. It's okay. Tunnel network. Any your movement phase, 1 Tyranid unit from your army that's wholly within 9 inches of 1 or more of your tunnel markers. Remove your unit from the battlefield and set up again wholly within 9 inches of another tunnel marker you placed, and more than 6 inches horizontally away from your enemy units. In 1 movement phase, you can shift 1 of your units all the way across the battlefield if you have tunnel markers in the right place for a CP. And that is ridiculous. It can be any Tyranid model. It can be a Nord Emissary. It can be a group of Carnifexes. It can be your Hive Tyrant, the Swarm Lord. Like, you can just bomb a Swarm Lord across the freaking map. You can bomb a Nord Emissary. Like, there's fun things in this you can do. Flashing the Swarm. Your movement phase. 1 Tyranid unit from your army, wholly within 9 inches of 1 or more tunnel marker. that you placed. One model in your unit regains D3 plus 1 in the lost wounds. You can return up to D3 plus 1 destroyed models with the wounds characteristics of 1 in your unit, with their full wounds remaining instead. Like, what? Like, okay, so we can heal my monsters. My shotgun come in, he can get hurt. Like, a rapid ingress in. But you didn't get the move over to his tunnel that he made. So you shot him up and he's still alive. He's going to heal D3 plus 1 in my movement phase and then go hit you. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's not amazing, but it's kind of cool. Like, a couple extra wounds left on your monster makes a big difference. It can't really, if you could use it to replace like Raveners, that'd be cool. You can just heal a wounded Ravener, which is fine. But that really shines on your monsters, I feel like, more so. If you're running a lot of Hormigons or something too, that could be really good, but more so for the monsters, I think. Get a better value out of that. So I'm going to assault your charge phase. One turn monster from your army that was set in reinforcement this turn. Set as reinforcements this turn. And in your phase, friendly turn units within 6 inches of that unit can reroll charge rolls. You pop out from a tunnel because you came in from reserves, you deep shite in, and you pick one of those units, like everyone's around and like, hey, this whole blob here gets to reroll their charge rolls. Yeah, it's a 9-inch charge, but they're rolling twice. Like, what? Okay. I know 9-inch charge isn't the best odds still, but you get 2 chances at it, and you got a blob of things that are getting that benefit. Something's connecting. Alright, like, at least a couple of those units are going to make that charge. And for some reason, all of them made it? They're on a 9 charge with a reroll. I think it's like pretty bad odds. It's only like 30 or 40% or something like that. I think it goes up to like 50 or 55% chance with a reroll. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong here. But it's lower odds than people think, I think. Or than people realize with a 9-inch charge. We get liquidating emergence. Any movement phase. One turn from your army that was set in reinforcements this turn. At the end of your next phase, weapons equipped by this model in your unit have a sustain hits 1 and Norse cover ability. So something comes in from reinforcements. You just make it hit harder. You can reroll the charge. Like, it's so good. You're like, well, what about after they're in the field? They can't leave again. Well, retreat below. Any of your opponent's fight phase, one Tyranid unit or up to 2 burrower units from your army that are not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Remove your unit from the battlefield and place in the strategic reserve. Like, what? Like, does it have to be near a tunnel? I could pull a Norn emissary off the field and deep strike him back in the next turn. Or bring him in through a tunnel, I mean. Like, deep strike a Trigon in. Hit the tunnel marker. Ravners. Norn emissary walks out of that tunnel next to them. This is like that chance, like, this attachment could potentially, like, run a Norn and be like, hey, start the battle round. This objective is going to be your home objective. And your opponent's going to be like, what? There's no way. You're not going to make it. And then, you know, you pull some shenanigans. You pull that fucking Norn emissary off in the reserves in turn 2 or something. Or into turn 1. Turn 2, 2, and 3, he pops up in the enemy's backfield and he's on that freaking home objective. Like, what? Or you pop up, you know, you pull Old One Eye and his 2 Carnifexes off the table. And suddenly they're within 6 inches of the enemy line the next turn. That's silly, man. That is really silly and it is really fucking cool. Like, there's so much shenanigans that you could do with this. Because, yeah, the tunnels are set fully within 9 inches of one or more tunnel markers, and with 6 inches horizontal from any minions. It doesn't say that things that come from the tunnel markers can't charge. So it's not like something deep striking in within 6 inches. That usually has that caveat of, oh, well, yeah, they can't charge the turn that they do this. But these can charge. This is a rule in the reserves thing, where if you come in reserves within 6 inches, you just, in general, can't. Is there, though? Let me look. Terms allow a closer setup range. If a stratagem has an effective that allows the target to be set with more than 3 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. part of the effect is changes say more than 6 inches horizontally away. Okay, so you're against the kind of the tunnel only to be 6 inches away from enemies and then can charge? There's nothing that says they can't charge when they come in for reserves like that. And the crazy thing is, like, move phase when you set a unit on the battlefield from reserves. Those are you set something from reserves. Hey, Deep Strike, it doesn't matter because Deep Strike's gonna follow the same rules basically as the tunnel marker. That's insane. You get like Raveners, uppy downy, you each start them on the field turn one. You pull them up turn one, drop them in like the reserves, and then you have a tunnel in your enemy's backfield. You can even like deep strike your like a Trigon Prime into your own deployment zone turn one to make a tunnel. That you can then pull things out of your backfield off the field and then put them anywhere else on the battlefield. Like you have so many options for it. You know, because you have just the generic option of just putting them back in reserves. One turn of your two burrower units, and then you also have the ability to also move them from within 9 inches of one tunnel marker to within 9 inches of another tunnel, any other tunnel marker. Your the potential mobility on this is just dumb. It depends what you're playing against. If you're playing against someone really fast, they can probably shut this down. It's not going to make a difference. But if you're playing against someone like normal speeds, like depending on how big their army is and everything, like custodes are gonna hate this. Like you can outmaneuver custodians like crazy with this, I feel like, because they have so few model count. Like I said, I feel like this is one thing, it maybe just looks really good on paper potentially, but this probably does require like a more skilled player to use. Someone that's really familiar with this edition, has been playing quite a bit. I'm not quite there yet, but it has a tremendous amount of potential in my opinion. And my thoughts too with it were like you'd probably want to run like at least like you're on Tinas or Raveners. That's 250 points for 10 Raveners. Just your regular ones. Now we're running the hyper adapted ones, which do get a little bit better in this attachment. And then you run like a Trigon, maybe potentially two, depending on what you want, how froggy you want to get. Maybe make him the Prime. The very least is going to be a character. You can give him some of those enhancements. You can make him Deep Strike in turn one. It's like a truck. You can take a Moloch for 145 points. So I think for like two units of 5-man Raveners, a Moloch, and a Trigon, it's like 535 points. And that gives you four things that can create tunnels. Okay, like, and two of them have uppy downy built into the rules, so they can create more tunnels. You can use your detachment stratagems to create more tunnels with your Moloch and your Trigon, because you can make them come back into reserves and deep strike back in. Like, what? Like, this is so randomly weird. It's so cool. Then Moloch, because you have him drop in, he makes this tunnel, he blows up some things, maybe cause some damage to some units within 12 inches of him. Then like you're feeling froggy, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna rapid ingress in another thing from reserves next to him. Like he softens the way, then you just rapid ingress a bunch of stuff from his tunnel, and then you have this weird new front. Like you just changed the whole battlefield. You probably just threw your opponent through such a loop all of a sudden, where like 500 points of your army pop up all of a sudden in front of him, and then another part of the battlefield, another portion of your army just all of a sudden moves over there, teleports over essentially. Like it's really good. Like I didn't look through for other factions. I only want to look through what was like really going to affect me directly as a Tyranids player. And honestly, I kinda like it. I don't think I touched on it earlier. I was talking about the Hive Tyrant point reduction either. But with the Hive Tyrant going down by 30 and the Swarmlord going down by 20, I feel like running two of them is a little bit more doable than it was before. If you're just running one before and not using enhancements on them, your enhancements just became free. Give them an enhancement, it doesn't change the rest of your list at all. But that extra 30 points that you're saving will probably give you a little wiggle room to add in like another scoring unit potentially. Maybe help you squeeze another Lictor over another Uniformagons or Termagons. Something that can help with scoring and zoning out your opponent because you have all this mischief that we can do now with all of our tunnels. So we need to screen out our opponent and then just be a menace. That's good. We'll see what happens. I'm curious that over the course of the next month or so, if we see any like big tournament, like maybe next 2 months, if we see any like big tournament wins with this list or with this attachment, we'll see and see what people start running with it. It could be a lot of fun here. I am really looking forward to just the hyper-adapted Ravners in general. I'm going to try and work them into some lists just for fun. I said I feel like they're going to be, I didn't, compared to like they're not, I think I compared them to like Terminators as well, like how they hit into Terminators. Hyper-adapted ones on average kill like 4 of a 5-man squad. So not as good as the Gene Slayer unit, or the Gene Slayer with the Reload is a bit more expensive and just can absolutely crush a 10-man Terminator unit. I'm most excited to play around with the Psychophage. I never thought I'd say this, but the nice little buff, that faster movement and everything. Got a good amount of potential here. I'm sorry about coffee, I was bullshitting so much about Tyranids. But thank you for listening. Sorry this is a little late. I had a bit idea for going through and just talking about some of my favorite models that GW offers, like in the 40k line. I have the notes for that already, so I'll probably do that video here soon. Bricky also put out his second part of every faction explained again, or re-explained or whatever. So maybe we'll do a react to that. I haven't watched the second part yet. I want to save that. Maybe we'll do as a video. React to the first part too, and we'll see here. And then, like I said, I have a GT in about 6 weeks. I'm gonna be working to attend. I got only about 3 models that paint currently for my current tournament list, unless some things change or those new Ravners hit in time. I'll get them painted and maybe add them in depending on how I like them and how I can shift my list around here. I'll be doing bases here soon. I have bases on order, plus I think I have all the materials. I think I have the colors figured out. Maybe I'll do a video where we're talking about doing some basing here. What my process has been and everything. And then yeah, we'll probably have a lot of games to talk about. I'm also gonna be looking for like a cheap tablet in the time frame too, just for running the apps during games and everything. So maybe I can take some better notes during games for a little bit better of a battle port or battle recap here in my videos. But hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for popping by. Thanks for chilling. Go drink some coffee here, and I'll see you next time.